The first step in the evolution of ethics is a sense of solidarity with other human beings. That quote is attributed to Albert Schweitzer. In the last video, we saw the Wheel of Fortune, which challenged us to keep our calm center when life started to feel out of control. Now, the Justice card challenges us in a new way. It asks us to examine our relationships, values, actions, and choices. If the Wheel of Fortune represents surrender to life's unfolding events, Justice represents a move towards alignment. It is an invitation to experience wholeness by living life according to our values. Our heroine continues through Act 2 of the journey. The outer adventure begins to settle somewhere within, into that quiet place where inner questions can surface. These questions make her reflect on her actions, her integrity, and the consequences of her decisions. She enters a sacred space where she sees a sword and a pair of scales. These are instruments of awareness. They aren't merely representations of the law, legal matters, or courtrooms. As she regards the sword, she sees how it cuts away illusion. It cuts away and has her look at the untrue stories that she's told herself, the places where she didn't honor herself, or perhaps she felt incongruent. The scales speak to where she encounters imbalance, where she gave more than she received, but even when she didn't honor someone else, or where something simply felt off. She's left with the questions. How does she restore alignment or balance? In the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, Justice is card number 11. 1 and 1. Side by side, they represent balance, fairness, and pillars. 1 and 1 equal 2, and numerologically speaking, that connects this card to the High Priestess. Both cards ask us to look at balance, wisdom, knowledge, and duality. Now, our heroine's journey is turned inward. Here, we investigate imbalance in our own lives and in the lives of those we touch. Justice asks us to reckon with past errors. It asks us to hold ourselves accountable, and it asks us to cultivate the integrity needed to make considerate, thoughtful decisions. Those decisions benefit not only ourselves, but the world around us, the people around us. This card can literally symbolize involvement with judges, lawyers, conservators, guardians, other representatives of the law. But this card also illustrates that actions have consequences. Some have called this the law of attraction card, but in reality, that definition is a little too simplistic. It doesn't take into account the systems in which people find themselves. For example, systems of poverty, educational access, healthcare access, and discrimination or other systems that are beyond individual control. Nor is Justice merely suggesting that we recite affirmations to create magically this life that we seek. Instead, it's more about reckoning, understanding ourselves, understanding our why, examining what we put into the world, and then subsequently looking at what is reflected back. After the dizzying merry-go-round of the Wheel of Fortune, the Justice card heralds a relative period of stability. This stability, however, leaves space for bigger questions to emerge. Are you living with integrity? Are your actions coherent with your values? Can you be someone whom others trust? Is there an imbalance in your life waiting to be addressed? What truths in your life need to come into balance? Grappling with these kinds of questions, facing them and acknowledging them can actually be for our absolute highest good. Doing so may also earn the respect and recognition of others, such that we might encounter people who can offer support, encouragement, or advice. On the Rider-Waite-Smith card, the Justice displays various symbols associated with justice and the law. We have the figure in red robes, the crown, the sword, the scales, and the pillars. The vertical pillars enclose the figure and bring us into this space. They speak to the balance and structure that justice symbolizes. And this place becomes significant because it serves as a kind of bridge. It's a kind of pause before the journey continues. And that gives us a little breathing room and allows us to ask, am I truly becoming the person that I want to be? As we move into this space, we see the scales. They represent discernment. Another question surfaces. What is your life asking you to balance? This question sets the scene in exploring whether or not you have neglected yourself, whether you've shown up when you've been needed. Perhaps there's an area where you've given too much of yourself, or not enough. It is a question that allows you to notice without immediate judgment, and in that way we can use discernment. And then we come to the sword. As it points upward, it shows us the clarifying power of discernment. Its blade cuts away illusion to reveal truth. The truth about ourselves and about what needs attention. Sometimes what needs attention has been gently nudging us for years. Finally, taking a moment to pause can bring what we've been avoiding to the surface. The throne, it heralds responsibility. We have a responsibility to find balance within ourselves so that we can show up not only for ourselves, but for others. To be present, to breathe, before making choices. And that's because, as we know, actions have consequences. Justice reminds us that freedom and responsibility go hand in hand. Now we come to the crown. It symbolizes authority, clear-mindedness, and the responsibility to maintain order. Its elements echo the card's larger themes of stability, structure, and grounded judgment. Order exists throughout the natural world, from the tiniest cellular structures in a leaf, all the way up to the grander weather systems that surround the Earth. Everything participates in interconnected systems. And when those systems fall out of balance, consequences follow. The red robes symbolize authority, vitality, and action. The figure acts with restrained authority, delivering decisions after weighing different sides of an issue. She often acts within established systems to deliver justice where there has been an imbalance or injustice previously. This brings both accountability to herself and to others. Now, we are firmly in the scene of justice. We have seen her symbols, and now we understand that justice is a practice. It is something that we return to again and again. Discernment. It is the kind of discernment that prepares us for surrender and sacrifice. It assists in our transformation and ultimately, our wholeness. If justice appears in a reading, it often signals that life has led you to a meaningful pause. It gives you a chance to determine where imbalances exist, either internally or externally. And that invites accountability. It allows other questions to surface. For example, where are you out of alignment? What relationships need honesty? What truth needs to be revealed? What have you been procrastinating on? Are your actions and reactions balanced? Are you living with integrity? Do you mean what you say and say what you mean? Justice appears when discernment is needed. Your past actions have helped lead you to this moment, And that may have been due to circumstances outside of your control. But now you get to determine where to go from here. That discernment can show up in real legal matters, when considering housing contracts, family legal issues, court proceedings, or other binding agreements. But justice can also appear when thoughtful consideration is required. Because this card asks us to look honestly at ourselves to bring greater balance to some aspect of our lives, it also speaks to making fair and carefully considered decisions. For example, if you complain frequently, it may be a sign that what you're putting out into the world leans a little too much to the negative. You can think about how you might reframe those complaints and turn them into actions to improve your situation, or look at how you can embrace acceptance if a situation cannot be changed. The idea of integrity arises with this card as well. It asks you to recognize your values and contributions, even as it examines whether you take responsibility for your actions. The word integrity doesn't just mean honesty. It comes through the Latin integritas, or the English word integer, wholeness, undivided. It suggests making decisions that honor the whole self. In general, the appearance of this card can be reassuring. It suggests that thoughtful ethical decisions may lead to good outcomes precisely because you took time to think things through. What justice doesn't promise, though, is an outcome that is exactly what you wanted. It asks whether the outcome is truthful, accountable, and aligned with the circumstances at hand. One powerful way to deepen your understanding of the tarot is to apply each card to moments in your life. If you've been following this journey, then you'll know that as I move through each archetype, the archetypes begin to work on me in profound ways. And of course, the Justice card is no exception. In fact, this card surprised me. As I've worked with this archetype, it's showed up in multiple levels and in multiple ways throughout the entire time I've been working with this card. I'll share a few of the ways that it has shown up. The first way this card has shown up is actually that I am literally knee-deep in conversations with my mother's conservator, my mother's guardian, the conservator for my special needs brother. I've sent long emails to attorneys. I have a hearing coming up in September to nominate a co-guardian for my special needs brother. I can honestly say that at no point in my life have I ever been so involved with people of the courts or the law. The second way that this card showed up is through reciprocity and collaboration. If you've watched other videos in this series, then you'll know that each video requires props that I either create, that I purchase, or recruit someone else to help me build or construct. One of the props for this Justice video is very special: the crown. It was created by my friend Bethany, and her information, if you're interested, is in the description below. Now, I could have simply ordered a crown online, but I chose collaboration. I'm beginning to think more intentionally about artists whose work belong in the world that I'm creating. I realize that we are now two artists in Western North Carolina who are invested in one another's creativity. I have a crown created just for the Justice archetype. The potential exists for further collaboration, and both of our businesses benefit. It's a great example of reciprocity, collaboration, and give and take. The final way that I'll share that justice has worked on me feels bigger than the card. Way, way bigger. I mentioned the word integrity just a few moments ago. That word became a mantra this month, and it concerns my career. For years, people told me to niche down, to choose something specific, to focus, and to become one identity. I tried as a teacher, an artist, a writer, a digital marketer, a web developer, web designer, meditation instructor, a tarot lady, photography, videography, and each one felt incomplete when I just did that one thing. Each identity, each focus felt like a sacrifice, as though I had to cut everything else out to focus on that one thing. And no matter how hard I tried, I always felt like I was leaving pieces of the puzzle that was Cynthia on the table. It was never complete. I was sitting at the piano while I was working on this justice archetype one day, and an idea for a melody for a future archetype came to me. It was in a key that I had never worked in before, F minor. As a new melody revealed itself, I created the Justice Archetype mandala. I created an Earth Star meditation mandala. I finished a walkway that was 6 years in the making. I started looking at and tending my garden in new ways. I fired off another email to a lawyer, a guardian, or conservator. I also found a new tea variety to sip and contemplate. All these seemingly unrelated things pointed to a profound realization. Justice wasn't asking me to become someone different. It was asking me to recognize the wholeness that was already there. Integrity is wholeness. It's undivided. Justice looked me in the face and said, "Can you stop dividing yourself?" Now, to someone on the outside, my many interests might have seemed divergent and unfocused, but in fact, they were convergent. They were never fragmented. They were incredibly focused and coherent. And all these separate paths led to the same clearing in the forest, to a place of integrity, a place where everything I do and everything I am is integrated. Wholeness has always been the work, not perfection, not certainty. And with every class I've taught, with every meditation I've guided, with every website I've built, with every painting I've completed, with every mandala that has grown, every hike into the forest, every tarot reading, every chakra healing, every brick that I've placed in the walkway in my garden, all of these were parts of the whole, parts of remembering who I was. Years ago, I spent a few days crafting my own personal mission statement. It's an exercise that I recommend everybody do at some point because it forces you to focus on your why you do what you do. Why do you get up in the morning? Now, with this new understanding uncovered through this archetype, through the Justice Archetype, I was compelled to update and rewrite my mission statement, to exist with wonder, explore what makes me whole, create contemplative experiences that help people encounter themselves with greater clarity, compassion, and courage. And not only is this my personal mission statement, but it became the backbone of my business, Art Funky. And if you've ever had a tarot reading with me, then you'll know that it is a contemplative experience, as are the chakra healings that I offer. Here I thought I was creating something about justice. In reality, it was creating something in me. And that has been true for all the archetypes. Each major arcana archetype connects to a chakra, whether it's a major chakra, a main chakra, or a minor chakra. Now, in my interpretation, justice connects most strongly with the Earth Star chakra. It is a minor chakra, and as part of some contemporary expanded chakra traditions, it concerns spiritual grounding. It is often described as existing in the energetic field beneath the feet, although descriptions of its exact location vary. Sometimes it's 12 inches below, sometimes it's 18 inches. We can symbolically connect with and balance the energy by spending time with our bare feet touching the earth, or by making direct contact with the natural world, perhaps by touching a tree, sitting on the earth, or walking slowly and intentionally through the forest. The Earth Star represents feeling at home in the world. When this energy feels open and balanced, it can symbolize greater ease, clear-headedness, and connection with the Earth and those around us. It leads to a deeper understanding that everything is connected, that everything belongs to interdependent systems. It helps us contemplate the relationship between the physical and the spiritual self. And in that way, we can cultivate compassion for ourselves, even as we can extend that compassion to the world and to the universe. It is deeply grounding, reminding us that our lives and our bodies are intrinsically connected to the earth. Justice also connects with the root chakra because of the stability, responsibility, and grounded presence that it asks us to cultivate. And on the opposite end of our energy centers, it also connects with the crown chakra. And that's because through discernment, wisdom, and the wider understanding that we gain when we work on this card, when we examine our lives honestly. To support your tarot journey, I have created a free tarot cheat sheet. I invite you to explore the archetypes and all the cards, and then come up with your own intuitive version, your own intuitive meanings. And if you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to explore the others on this channel, the other archetypes, chakra meditations, mandala meditations, philosophical videos, and more. Or you can go to artfunky.com. Those links are also in the description below. Tell me in the comments, when has justice shown up for you? Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it can be faced. James Baldwin.